Welcome to the Sleeping Beauty movie review. If you would like to know the rest of the list, if you just want to take a sneak peek for a minute, join the 99 cent tier of my memberships and you'll get to know the rest of the princesses because I have them all planned out to January 2026. So let's just go ahead and get started. I think I watched Sleeping Beauty for the first time either this year, for the first time ever this year, or last year. I just never really watched it because she's Sleeping Beauty. All she did was sleep. But anyways, let's just go ahead and get started. Something I was noticing the second time around watching the movie, I feel like Sleeping Beauty and Snow White are pretty similar. Like both of their movies, they're both supposed to die, but they're sleeping and a prince has to wake them up. You know, very similar. So I'm glad after Sleeping Beauty, they abandoned that trope because I can't remember what princess came after Sleeping Beauty. Was it Ariel? It might have been Ariel, but yeah. Okay, so I love the Once Upon a Dream song. Loves it. Oh, forgot to say before we get started, I've done Cinderella, Ariel, Tiana, and Snow White. So this is the fifth one. We're just working on the list. Okay. And the Once Upon a Dream song, it's catchy. And we learned that Sleeping Beauty is adapted from that classical composer Tchaikovsky. I can never say his name right. The ballet dance. And the Sleeping Beauty book, we see the outside of the book is very pretty. And I love how the narrator reads it to us, okay? I don't think they did that in Snow White. A daughter was born to the king and queen, and they named her Aurora. And they named her Aurora because they were trying for years to have a kid, and they couldn't have a kid, okay? And they named her after the dawn as she lived through their lives through sunshine. And then, like, the kingdom comes to see baby Aurora, okay? Or the kingdom comes for the princess. And mind you, that song they were singing, again, I don't know what was it with early Disney, but that song was running a little long. Like, shorten it, decuten it, thank you. And why Hubert looked like the king from Cinderella? Like we know the prince is Prince Charming. We don't know his real name, but it's Prince Charming. But Hubert looks just like the king from Cinderella. Like, sure, I'll show y'all. Look exactly alike. And his son Philip looks on to his future bride, which I'm kind of confused about because if he was older than her, she's 16 at the end of the movie, and he looks like he's 5 years older than her. Is he 21? Are you right? He looked like he was 6 or 7. I don't know. His younger self. And then we see the three little good fairies come down. Mistress Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather. So the Flora is the red fairy. Fauna, I'll put a picture somewhere, is the green fairy. And Merryweather is the blue fairy. And I was wondering while I was watching it, again, this is the second time, why the queen doesn't have a name. This could call her queen. And then the red one gives her the gift of beauty. The green one, Fauna gives her the gift of song, and it shows you little flashes, and it shows her beauty. And the blue one, oh wait, before she gets to give her gift, we see Maleficent. Now, I like her, not as much. Like, y'all know my favorite Disney villain is Ursula. I like her voice. She wants to bestow a gift, okay? And her gift is a very rude gift, okay? She said when the sun sets on her 16th birthday, she shall prick her finger on a spindle and die. You say what now? I didn't like that part. And they can't undo the curse. So instead of undoing it, instead of her dying, they give her the gift of sleep. So instead of her dying, her true love, which Prince Philip or whoever, the kids should break the spell. And every spinning wheel was burned, okay? So she would not do it. And they'll turn her into a flower. Like flowers, they can't prick anything. They're inanimate objects, right? And then Merryweather is such a downer, okay? Debbie Downer. And she decides that they will turn themselves into mortal women, like 3 peasant women. And Fauna excited about taking, Fauna, that's the green fairy, is excited about taking care of Aurora. And the king and the queen watch as their only child disappears into the night. And then y'all know they ain't gonna have us see her be a kid and blah, 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 blah. So her 16th birthday is coming, and they're happy that her wrath has not become of death or of sleep. And all these years, so Maleficent, she's like, oh yeah, the goons was like, we checked every cradle. And she's like, every cradle? she is a teenage girl. Why are y'all looking into every cradle? And I thought that funny part was funny. And she's like, you idiots, you imbeciles. She tells the bird to go find her, right? And they called her Briar Rose, okay? And we finally see Briar, we hear her voice, which you don't get to hear much of her voice throughout the movie. And I loved her voice. As I said, this is only my second time watching this movie. I never hated Sleeping Beauty. I just hate that she never didn't have a lot of lines, which we will touch on that in a little bit. And they send Briar off because they want to do something nice for her birthday, because this is her last day before she goes back to the castle, goes back to the palace, the castle, whatever. Fauna wants to make the cake, and she's singing. Briar is singing, and her voice doesn't annoy me, unlike Snow White. Yeah, I'm still talking about that. I don't care. Okay. Then we see Briar Rose singing with the owl, and then we see Prince Philip. And I was looking down. I was like, "Where's her shoes?" And then I didn't know why I didn't recognize that the first time I watched the movie. Like, did she take off her shoes, or did she not have shoes? And then we see the Prince. Their voices mesh while they were in there singing "Once Upon a Dream." Like, I love that song. And they're dancing in the forest. It was way too cute. And that cake is just not gonna make it. It was sliding. Like, your cake is sliding, Fauna. You can't make cake. And that they were trying to make, it was downright ugly. I'm like, at this point, just go ahead and use your magic, because y'all cannot make a dress by hand, which is okay. A lot of people can't make no dress by hand. And then Merryweather went to go grab the wands, and they closed up everything, because, like, if they get found out that there's magic, they're gonna know that Aurora Briar Rose is alive. And you know, the bucket, the mop, and the broom became animated, and she told them to clean. And then Fauna is getting the ingredients to make the cake. I personally was going to call them lazy, but then again, they have not been able to use their magic in 16 years. It's been 16 years, and the dress looks beautiful, but it was pink at first. And Merryweather wants to dress blue. Now, y'all know blue is my favorite color, but I like Aurora's dress better pink. I don't know, it's like something about the pink that really brings it out, you know? And they're fighting over the colors, like pink, blue, pink, blue, pink, blue. And it's like pink, blue, pink, blue. And then they make it all go up to the chimney, and basically the dress is ruined. And I was thinking in the movie that the dress did look good both ways, but don't get me wrong, I did like the blue version, but I like the pink version a lot better. And we see Briar is in love with the prince, but she doesn't know he's a prince. And the fairies are telling her that you've basically been betrothed since birth, so it's like arranged marriage, and which is weird. And then they tell her that she's Princess Aurora, and the bird is listening in on this. And Aurora is sad because she really liked the prince, she loved him, and she goes to cry in her room. But you're gonna get to see him again. You're gonna get to see him again, okay? And she runs to her room, and Hubert and the king are toasting, and then they start fighting, and then they laugh. Prince Philip said he's met the girl he's gonna marry in the 14th century. I'm like, 14th century? And we're in, what, the 20th something, 21st century? I'm like, dang, this movie is really, really old. It's really old. And, or the, whatever, but like this movie was in the 1940s or 1950s, something like that. So this movie's really old. They bring Aurora back to the castle. She does not want to be there. She'd rather be with the prince. And they give her a crown, like a gift of royalty. And the crown is pretty. And as she sits in that beautiful dress, we see malicious, green-eyed, scary lady, Maleficent, hiding in the shadows, okay? And then Aurora sees something. She's like, and then she looked like she became possessed. Okay, that part scared me. Like the whole part of her walking up the stairs. The last thing we hear from her is her crying. She does not talk again for the rest of the movie. Don't know why. The prince did, but she didn't. No lines. Very weird. Like what? There was a voice actress. Like what was the reason she didn't have no more lines after she was awakened? But anyways, back to what we're talking about. The fairies are chasing her, and she touches the spindle, and Maleficent got to her. She touched the spindle, and she fell. The Maleficent hides her, and we see that she's sleeping. And then the celebration carries on without the princess. Like, how y'all gonna carry on? Like, y'all didn't get to see where Aurora went. And then Flora decides to put the whole kingdom asleep until Aurora, is awakened. And Hubert tells the king how Philip met this peasant girl. You know, he's like, kind of spells kind of like hitting to him a little bit. And, you know, the fairy is listening, and they go back to the cottage, their cottage. And Maleficent's goons are attacking the prince. Maleficent, I don't know how she did it, but she was always one step ahead of everybody. And the fairies go to Maleficent's dungeon as there's chaos down there. Maleficent is basically painting a picture for the prince, looking at Aurora, and she was like, oh, you're gonna be sitting here, and you know, like, while she is in her ageless beauty, you're gonna get old, and you're gonna be looking for her, and you'll be looking old, okay? And the prince is like trying to break out of these chains, gonna get her. And Maleficent's talking about, after 16 years, I finally get to sleep. Shut up. And then the fairies help him and give him a sword and a shield. The prince, they took the hooks off of the horse, and partially that bird. Like, shut up. Why you and your owner are annoying. Like, shut up. And the rocks were about to hit Prince Philip, and they free his horse. Like, they get away, they run, and then Merryweather is chasing that bird, and she turned him to stone. Good job, because that bird was looking at my last nerve. Like, shut your gawky. And then they help him, and then she tries to kill the prince. I don't know what you had against Aurora in the first place, to just want to put an evil spell on her to begin this, but you weird. You jealous of this girl. For what reason? And then Maleficent gets mad. She cast a spell on Stefan's castle. Said, may these thorns become the prince's tomb. Like, may he die from these thorns. And Maleficent, like, you know, the prince, he's very strong. He took that knife, he took the shield, the fairies are helping him, and then Maleficent gets mad. She's like, oh, she sets a fire, and then we see her turn from herself into a freaking dragon, and she spits her nasty fire at him, and then they threw the sword into her chest. And that's when she dies. Like, once again, wait, I said this with the last Disney princess movie review in Snow White. Y'all are mad at these girls for what? I mean, Snow White, she's stupid. But why are you mad at Aurora for? Like, what did she do to you? What did she do to you? Okay. And then, unlike Snow White, there was more action to her scene. Because all they did in Snow White was the dwarves chased her. The prince didn't have nothing to do with it. So, yeah, really, Prince Philip is better than that other prince. But, yeah, and he kisses her, and she awakes along with everybody else in the kingdom. Prince Philip comes down with Aurora. Aurora sees her parents. She hugs them. And I thought she was finally going to speak again. She did not speak. And then Flora and Merryweather are fighting over the color of her dress. It changes from pink and blue throughout the whole movie. They are dancing in the clouds, and the movie is over. So I would like to give Aurora, Sleeping Beauty, I'll give her movie a 6.5. Why is it placed a little lower? Just one thing. She didn't have a lot of lines. That's it. That is my only main issue. But don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Again, if you want to know who the next Disney princess is, she's one I like. So, yeah. That one will be up in June. But I will see y'all next time. Bye!